road, doing some nice work out on the racetrack there. Outside lane. Now that 49 car you're seeing just coming off of pit road, that's Mark Green. They were changing a tire as just after the field went green. So something not right there with that 49 machine.
That's the last thing you want to have happen. You'd be stuck on pit road at the start of the race, losing all those positions. But look at Allgaier on the top side of that track, man. He's up there earlier than I thought he could be able to do that, Andy. He's looking good up there. Now back to the bottom.
Yeah, it looks like 1 and 2, they want to be on the bottom. There's more grip down there. 3 and 4, they're able to make this move on the outside.
Kevin Harvick started 11th, trying to take 8th spot away from Trevor Bayne. I love Dave's question to him. Kevin said he'd had to take his lumps in qualifying to be good for the race. Dave asked him how lumpy his car was. So we'll see how lumpy his car is here in these first 100 laps.
You know, what Kevin tell us last time? He started 18th or something like that. In 50 laps, he was leading the race. He's got a lot of confidence, but the guy on the top side, Trevor Bayne, he's got a little confidence right now. I mean, he's had some problems this year. Not of his doing, but you know, Andy, we talked earlier, a lot of these drivers, man, they've been looking forward to tonight to get this rhythm back and get going. And this 99 of Trevor Bayne is one of those guys.
Right behind Harvick in that 16 car, Matt Kenseth. Roush Fenway team having races unsponsored, and as we got little contact there.
Little contact. Looks like Kevin says, I want that spot now.
And he's got it. Continuing on there, Roush Fenway having some unsponsored races and having taken, speaking of lumps, some lumps in this first part of the season, has put Matt Kenseth in the car for this week and next week. Picked up some sponsorship for this week and next week, and out there trying to give these guys a boost. The guys that work on the car, Andy, when you've taken some lumps early in the season.
Well, obviously Matt Kenseth is very talented. See, now here he's working right behind Kevin Harvick right when they got together. Yeah, just a little contact. But when you have somebody like Matt Kenseth, he is so good with getting the car where it needs to be. And that's a big key. And not only does he have talent to get it done on the racetrack, which he'll do tonight. I mean, you'll see him up front all night. But he's one of those guys that really knows how to get the car where it needs to be.
I know. If I could never tell my crew what they needed in a car, I'd totally confuse the team. They never could figure out what to do. And, I mean, they've had some lumps lately, like you said. And to get Matt back in this car and let him help the pit crew, let them build their confidence back up to say, we do have a good car or we got a bad car. That's going to help Stenhouse. That's going to help Brown. It's going to help everybody.
So you see the distance from 10th place Matt Kenseth to leader Kyle Busch, who has Brad Keselowski trying to close in. It's early on, under the lights on a Friday night in Richmond. Weather problems the NASCAR Nationwide Series has faced the last couple weeks. A beautiful day in Richmond, Virginia, turning into a beautiful night for most in the field. Willie Allen been the fastest mover through the first 12 laps. Then he was the guy that wound up bringing out the first caution.
Well, you take a look at Michael Annett right on the bottom of the racetrack. This is a spot in the track, Andy, where you're still turning. And you see his car gets a little loose right there. He chases up the hill, and he gets right in the side of Willie Allen, blows out that left rear tire. And I will promise you, that was not intentional. That was just an ill-handling car early in the race.
Yeah, that's one of those things about this track. It seems like there's a blurry line between the corner and the straightaway because you're still turning the race car as you come up off that corner.
Oh, absolutely. It's got a lot of radius to it. Still pulling on the wheel.
Oh, Kevin LePage in that yellow car just missed Willie. So caution's out. None of the front runners have stopped. We'll come back for the restart. ESPN Networks this weekend, Richmond Sprint Cup pre-race edition of NASCAR Now. Tomorrow morning at 10 Eastern Time. Saturday afternoon, ABC 1:30 Eastern, the Eyes on IndyCar Series from Kansas. Then it's the AAA Insurance NHRA Midwest Nationals qualifying tomorrow 9 Eastern ESPN2. The final Sunday night at 7 Eastern. And the NASCAR Nationwide Series moves to Darlington next Friday night at 7 Eastern. Will be a great race. We hope you join us for that. Our first caution of the day has given Mark Green a lap back, the first driver a lap down or more down. So Mark, the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass winner in that 49 car as we get set to go back to green. Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski on the front row.
Wow, Kyle looked like he went early there. I don't know where those marks. You can't see the marks from here, but got a good start.
And we talked a couple weeks ago about how controversial those restarts are. Kyle got busted in Phoenix, Arizona for jumping a restart. And boy, that looked early right then, or else he just got through the gearbox perfect.
All over here.
And caution is out.
Caution's out. Caution is out.
There is debris off of one of the
My
cars.
windshield's covered in oil.
There's the debris rolling down the racetrack. It almost looks like a piece of a drive shaft out of a car, Andy.
It could be. We have a car rolling slowly on the pit road now. Looks like Mike Wallace. Could come out of his car. Yeah, there it is. You can see it. Yep.
Andy, it looks like there's oil all the way at the start-finish line down in the turn
gear.
one.
We're going to need a gear.
Yeah, look at the oil behind the car right there, guys.
The gears come out of it. The pump's dragging and everything.
Oh, yeah, that's the front of the third member. That's actually the pinion gear and yoke.
Man,
wow, I've never seen one go up like that.
And so all that oil will be the rear gear.
Yeah, and that's all rear end grease, 90-weight gear oil. It'll be all over the racetrack, and that stuff is so slick. See right there, Steve Arpin just about loses it.
Wow.
Probably catches some of that debris. You can see part of the drive shaft coming out.
Well, that was his radio we heard saying my windshield's covered with oil.
Oh, yeah, and it'll be hard to clean.
No wonder.
Yeah. Stuff's thick as molasses.
A little closer look at what we just saw laying on the racetrack in pieces in our Craftsman Tech garage. Tim Brewer?
Alan, from where I'm standing, it looked like it shelled the pinion right here. What happened? When he dropped the hammer on it, the dry shaft came back here in this area right here. That's the weak point in the gear, and he shelled that thing off. That's what sent that dry shaft out of the car.
Tell you what, Andy, it looked like those 5 bolts that hold that pinion in got blowed out of the front of that housing also. It looks like we saw it bouncing across the racetrack.
I've never seen a failure like that in all of my years of racing.
That was huge.
I've seen a lot of them.
So caution out and a little bit of cleanup work here to do as Mike Wallace has taken his 01 car back to the garage. And again, Steve Arpin in that 7's got a little work to do to clean up his windshield. Now, Willie Allen, remember the guy who got bumped around and spun to bring out the first caution? He is the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass recipient under this caution. So Willie is going to come around and get back on the lead lap. So good for him. And he could use all the good he can get on this night after a very difficult week, Doc.
It certainly has been difficult. Willie Allen driving with a very heavy heart. Yesterday afternoon, he lost his father, Al Allen, at the age of 55 after about a 1.5-year battle against Lou Gehrig's disease. It's a very tough. Willie said he was my best friend, he was my mentor, and he wanted me to be here. But Willie was there at the bedside in Centerville, Tennessee. And then when his father passed away peacefully, Willie got in the car with his wife, Kristen, and drove all night to get here to Richmond, arriving 5 minutes before practice began at 9 o'clock this morning. In qualifying, all Willie could do was hold his head down and think about his dad. He started last today and was the biggest mover early on. He said, I'm driving with a heavy heart, but I'm going to drive knowing that my daddy's watching and wanted me to be right here in this race car where he put me years ago.
Doc, thanks. Certainly a lot of people thinking about Willie Allen as he races with a heavy heart here tonight in Richmond. Back on the lead lap as we work caution for the second time. The NASCAR Nationwide Series at Richmond. Be sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. We work caution for the second time in the race after Mike Wallace had a mechanical problem that's left a lot of this front stretch and the entry to turn 1 covered in rear end grease that safety officials are trying to mop up. But Rusty, if you're behind the wheel of that 18 car for Kyle Busch, is that going to affect what lane you choose for this restart?
Yeah, absolutely it is. I'm going to go to the top of the racetrack. I mean, that's what I would do if I was Kyle Busch. Now, the guys on the bottom, they got to be careful because the right side tires are going to be in that mess. And I don't care, Alan, how much they clean that track up. It's still going to be a little loose in the early going until they get some rubber laid down on top of that and get it cleaned up.
Yeah, we were watching Kyle Busch. Thought that he went early because the restart zone here is really close to turn 4 because the start-finish line is really not in the center of this front straightaway.
Yeah, you and I were talking about that. I mean, this start-finish line is a little bit farther back than most tracks. It's not right in the middle of the front straightaway. And it appeared to us that he really went early, but he didn't. You see it there, the two red lines in the wall and the single line.
Yeah, they're almost in turn 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's way back in there.
Well, Kyle will get another chance to be side by side with Brad Keselowski for a restart in that zone and heading off into where that rear end grease has been put down and cleaned up. And we'll see how it all turns out in just a minute. Major League Baseball continues on ESPN Sunday and Monday. First, Jose Reyes and the Mets face division rival Philadelphia, led by Ryan Howard, on Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell at 8 Eastern. Then Torrey Hunter and the Angels take on Uke and the Red Sox on Monday Night Baseball, presented by Sears Lawn and Garden at 7 Eastern. Major League Baseball on ESPN and ESPN3.com Sunday and Monday. Well, we've had a couple of quick cautions here in tonight's race at Richmond. This one a little bit of a lengthy cleanup after that rear end grease was dumped out of the back of Mike Wallace's car down from the start-finish line towards turn 1. Talking about the restart from the first caution and where the zone is. And besides those lines on the outside wall, a little extra reference put on the track for the drivers here at Richmond as well.